Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompeani. We have a lot to get into, including the Pirates with a week left in the regular season. We'll talk about Ben Cherington's future. We'll also take a look ahead to Penn State, Oregon, what a game that is, and what Pitt now looks like after West Virginia got throttled by Kansas. But the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown will, of course, be the Steelers and their win on the road. With us tonight, Will Graves, Associated Press.
Shout out Wanda Keene.
And True Fillipponi, 93.7 The Fan. Chris Adamski from the Trib.
I need a Wanda.
So,
of some sort.
you got to have something because he's doing it all the time. Wanda's more
Everybody
well-known
needs
than
a Wanda
anybody.
Keene in their life, I'll just say that.
Pony, I want to start with you on the Steeler win. They won 21-14, but it was a great start, a good finish, in between a lot of stuff that you have to obviously work on. What was your biggest takeaway from this game on the road?
My biggest takeaway is that a lot of the defensive stars who we've questioned and criticized over the last couple of weeks stepped up today. I think Cam Hayward had his best game maybe ever.
Terrific.
As a Steeler, which is crazy to say given the fact that he's a borderline Hall of Famer. You can literally pinpoint 2 plays where he took 2 touchdowns off the board for the Patriots. And not fluke plays. He hit a ball at the line of scrimmage and then forced a ball out. I mean, they lose this game if not for those 2 heroic plays from him. And T.J. Watt woke up today. Not just, oh, well, he's doing the Myles Garrett thing where he might not be getting stats, but he's still making a difference. No, he actually made difference-making plays with sacks. So 5 takeaways, 4 fumbles. I got to tip my cap to those defensive stars who came through today.
Plus 5 sacks, too, Chris.
Yeah.
They had it all together.
That's what a lot of splash from the defense. You have this big-name defense, this highly paid defense. The yardage is concerning. The way New England moved the ball is concerning. It feels very kind of unfulfilling defensively to hold them to 14 points. You get 5 turnovers. Now, the 5 turnovers is unsustainable. I get that. But that's what this defense was sort of constructed to be. You have these big-name players that have track records of making splash plays, and some of them did it today. And you've seen Jalen Ramsey create turnovers already at this point of the season. So part of it is you look at it 2.5 quarters without getting a first down. It's not a penalty first down offensively. And even defensively, the way New England seemed to move the ball, first downs and total yards and things. But you get a win on the road, 2-0 on the road. You get 2 wins on the road. They don't ask how many, they ask how, or no, the opposite, actually. Yeah. They do ask how many, they don't ask how.
I mean, it felt like sort of a return to normalcy, right? Like we didn't expect a shootout week 1, and that's what we got. We didn't expect him to get kind of beat down last week, and that's what happened. Now we're back to 20-17, right? Every game is going to be like a coin flip. When we get to the end of the year, if we get to December and they're 9-8 or 10-7 and they sneak into the playoffs, and they're like, how does this keep happening? It's games like this. Yes, they gave up 368 yards, but guess what? What does Mike T always like to do? We kept a lid on it, right? We kept a lid on it. No big plays. They had to go 17 yards or 17 plays on that one drive to get down until before Cam had the tip pick
right.
to Eccles. Like, this is a Mike Tomlin masterpiece, to be honest with you. Like, you can be frustrated with the way that it looks. Trust me, he is not sweating that right now.
Well, I don't think a masterpiece would include 17 plays, 92 yards, and then a mistake. I mean,
what if it had gone the other way around? Like, if they lost this game and had 368 yards of offense and turned the ball over 5 times, we'd be like,
yeah, we'd kill him.
I mean, so like,
I understand that. But the problems still are there, the ones that we've been talking about for a couple of weeks, and that would be stopping the run, #1. Andrew, they didn't do it well enough today. They did. They won the game, but 119 yards, you don't want that as a team total. It's been 3 straight weeks over 100 yards for the opposition.
Well, the one thing I'll say about that, I don't want to sound like Mike Tomlin here because I'm one of his biggest critics, but I felt like the 119 yards, a lot of that was Drake May. And you've got to be able to stop the quarterback runs too. But I thought that the running backs for New England might kill them in this game, and that did not happen. In fact, they knocked 2 guys out of the game, essentially. New England wanted to do the old school Bill Belichick by committee thing with 3 guys, and one guy fumbled twice and the other guy fumbled once, and that left basically Trayvon Henderson as the last man standing. So I would say, actually, binary, as Aaron Rodgers likes to talk about now, good or bad against the run. I would actually say good today, Chris.
It's improved all 3 weeks. I'll give him that. Week 1 was just abjectly bad. There were still a couple double-digit runs, and you're right. The scrambles are different than stopping the run in terms of scrambles by Drake May. They're on the stat sheet, but they were different. They weren't manhandled like they were. Cole Holcomb makes a play the first series of the game. Was he the difference maker? I don't know, but it has gotten better. I think more maybe offensively. I don't know how sustainable it is for so little production from your wide receivers outside of, and even DK Metcalf, he has getting touchdowns, but his yardage, his catch total for being a number one $30 million a year guy isn't where you want it to be. Calvin Austin, again, he's had 2 touchdowns. They're making plays, and they need to. I'll give him full credit for it. But you kind of wonder, after that, there's pretty much nothing from the wide receiver core at all over 3 weeks now.
I mean, I would say the run game is an issue on first and second down because they're not getting opponents
Correct.
into enough third and longs where then TJ Watt can go and play like the second highest paid defensive player in the league, which he has not, to be honest with you, he has not played like had not played like the first couple of weeks. But I mean, literally, I credit to his brother for understanding like that play where he right before the fumble at the end, like he definitely got held. He's yelling at the refs as Drake May's running by him for a first down.
Yeah.
And then literally the next play, they make he makes the kind of splash play, but they have to do better on early downs. They just have to, because there's too much 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 2, and that's why these. It's not like New England did hit 3rd and 15 6 times. They didn't. They just kept chipping away, and that's the part that they have to get better.
We spent a lot of the offseason, Andrew, talking about tight ends and how Arthur Smith loves tight ends, wants to use them. We've seen a little bit here and there, but on the other side of the ball, we've seen tight ends really move, and this is not just something new this year, all over the field, especially in the middle of the field defensively. Why does a guy like Hunter Henry have so much room? It's not just him, it's other tight ends, and what are they doing to try to solidify stuff in the middle of the field? Because a lot of guys are open all through.
Well, that's the one thing, if I'm going to circle an issue from this game that needs to get, recognized and addressed and corrected, it's that the miscommunications that continue to go on in their secondary where guys are wide open and you see either a linebacker or safety who goes one way and now there's 2 guys on one person and someone's left wide open and they got beat by touchdowns twice doing that in this game. In big games, like you said as well, where it wasn't a touchdown, but guys are wide open in the middle of the field. It just boggles my mind with the number of veteran players that they have that they aren't better at beating themselves in that way through 3 games.
Well, I'm going to give Chris a shout out here. This is literally, I went up to him at the halftime last week, and I said, I cannot wait for the yearly communication problems in the secondary story, because a couple years ago he pulled it up and it was literally like 6 years in a row in September there were stories that one of us had done about the communication. So part of this is part and parcel of these guys not playing together in game situations during the preseason. A lot of first-year guys, a lot of injuries. JPJ's out, obviously Deshaun's out. I would imagine that it will get better, but it's also, right now, if you're scouting them,
it's glaring.
I mean, think about it. Terrell Austin, the most gregarious, happy person, one of the happiest people in America, cursed about communication issues. And this.
Well, it didn't help, Chris, because it happened again today.
For the second game in a row, you had 2 players look at each other like, what just happened, essentially. Today it was the linebackers. So again, it's unsustainable. There's lots of excuses or justifications or reasons, the injuries, all the new guys. There were 6 new guys in the secondary. That's the entire secondary. Well, I guess James Pierre is not a new guy. He came back. But you get the point that everybody's new. And I guess that can happen. But there's a lot of things I feel like are unsustainable. But again, they're 2-1. They have 2 road wins in the conference. Maybe against a team you might be competing for a wild card
conference
spot
wins
too.
are big. When it comes down to tiebreakers, that's very big.
So you take it.
We're going to talk about some decisions that happened in this game coming up, and also the Minnesota Vikings are next up, and they had their way with Cincinnati today. We'll talk about that matchup in Dublin, Ireland. It's all coming up next right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. All right, welcome back. We're talking about the Steelers' win today, 21-14 at New England. Will, I'm going to start with you on this decision. This was strange because it's 4th down in your own territory at your own 15-yard line, and we saw Mike Vrabel decide to go for it. What does that indicate to you?
Plays a lot of Madden with the 7. I mean, that's
Were
one
you
of those,
surprised? And if so, why did he do it?
I mean, look, I think everybody was surprised that they actually snapped the ball. I think it's these days when we see guys get up on 4th down in weird situations, we just assume they're trying to draw somebody off sides. But Vrabel, look, I mean, New England was at sea last year. They were not themselves, and he is trying to maybe reestablish himself and maybe do it a little bit differently, a little more brashly, a little more aggressively than Belichick did. Although, remember Belichick that one time, Peyton
against
Indianapolis on 4th down late in the game. So,
but they were down
it
here.
worked too. I mean, they got
if
them.
it doesn't work, it's another scoring position. But you could.
Yeah, but I mean, I think at that point, he probably felt the game was in the balance, given the way that their early stages had gone. He might be right, and you have to credit the aggressiveness.
Man, it did take some big ones, huh? I mean, for a coach, in his first year, he probably knows he's in it for the long haul. He's not going to get fired. But that's the type of thing where if it blows up in your face and you lose, I think that's a tough thing to come back from. So I give him credit because I think I would have punted in that situation, even though, the analytics will say, obviously, to go for it. The Steelers, I think, probably on the fourth down, those plays lost out in this game. New England kept converting them. New England was good on third down. And you even had a situation where I thought Tomlin should have kicked a field goal with Boswell, and he punted it.
Boswell
territory.
apparently wanted to go on the field, too. He was on his way, I know.
But the first time he's been
But as that turned
back.
out, Andrew, I think it worked to their advantage because they punted, they got the ball back on a turnover, and it turned into the game-winning touchdown. So from that point of view, Mike Tomlin made the right call, but I get what you're saying.
If you're talking about the fourth down call, I will take it from the Steelers' perspective. It was a sort of a lack in faith Mike Vrabel had in the Steelers' defense to stop him, which is right in terms of you see all the third down conversions, the fourth down conversions, the way they almost got 400 yards of offense and generally moved the ball. However, I think it was Arthur Smith who last year said, it stuck with me, I'll forget who said it, so I want to credit the right person, that if you don't have big plays, the longer you go down the field, if it takes you 12 plays to score every time, that's 12 chances for a fumble, interception, something bad to happen. And that's exactly what happened to the Patriots today.
Right.
So, again, I feel like I'm being negative toward the Steelers' defense, but they didn't give up the big play, and eventually they got their big play.
I'll borrow an Arthur Smith quote here that he stole from somebody else. This was Arthur Smith burning the boats.
World War II reference?
He was burning the boats. He was like, we are going for it on fourth down, and either if we don't convert, we know that we're probably there at least get 3, maybe 7, the game's over. So this is, if you want motivation, this is it right here. So he said this. It worked. It worked until it didn't work at the end, right? I mean,
And it almost worked at the end, too.
Right.
Well, that gives a whole other. That's a
way.
whole separate conversation that will not get discussed this week, but it should. If it happened to a higher profile quarterback, it would have been one of the biggest stories in the NFL. Drake May had no business staying in that game. Is the independent neurologist already at the buffet line before halftime there? The guy hits his head.
And you saw the
he
replay.
grabs his
Grabs
helmet.
his helmet.
Is talking about it. They're talking about it and J.J. Watt's like, oh, you don't like to see your young quarterback hit his head like that. And
Yeah, I thought that's a great point.
Nobody buzzed
because
it
we
down.
all said the same thing watching the game. How is that not stopped? How is he not pulled out of the game? But he wasn't. So, I thought he played a good game after that, despite the turnover that he made. All right, Chris, I want to ask you, we have a minute and a half left here about the next game, Minnesota. And they're not going to have J.J. McCarthy. It's going to be Carson Wentz. We saw him today, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He's a veteran. You got 1 game under his belt and a defense that made a lot of takeaways. Well, how do you size this one up?
Yeah, even before today, I didn't know if losing J.J. McCarthy was that big of a loss for the Vikings. I don't know. He played 1 good quarter out of 8 so far in his career in the NFL. I didn't have much faith in Carson Wentz, judging by the last 5 years of evidence. But give him total credit. I thought the Bengals had a better backup quarterback in this game. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but it was a wrong take by me, obviously, because Carson Wentz, or at least the Vikings overall, totally outplayed the Bengals. Yeah, it seems like every week it's so far this season, maybe it's at the NFL, and maybe it's just that you're hyper-fixated on the Steelers' offensive line and facing fronts from the other team. It seems like every week, well, there's another challenge coming up for the Steelers. But again, maybe that's from that.
They ran the ball well today.
Yeah,
169 yards.
Probably overall the best of the 3 games, the offensive line from the Steelers, too.
Well, they got turnovers, Minnesota. Isaiah Rodgers scored 2 touchdowns.
True, scoop and score and a pick six.
And
Both long.
I believe they had 0 takeaways in the first 2 games. So they stepped up big time. It's Brian Flores. We know he's going to get creative with blitzes, but there's probably nothing Aaron Rodgers in 21 years hasn't seen before. So you don't think he'll turn the ball over like Jake Browning did, and they had a lot of fumbles today too. So I haven't watched that game back, but when you see it's like 41-3 or whatever it was, like those are not NFL. Those are Penn State playing the cupcake scores. What that was there in the second half. Of the
I think Flo versus Arthur Smith is going to be pretty interesting. But if I'm Brian Flores and I'm watching the Steelers offense, I am not worried about getting beat deep, right?
They don't even try.
So you could. I imagine there's going to be a lot of pressure. He technically wasn't sacked today. The 1 sack that he took was called back by a penalty. I would imagine their job is that they'll single the guys up.
I mean, Hogan was killing the offensive line today on the postgame show. They played the team that led the NFL in sacks and gave up 0 sacks. How was that a bad game? I would have signed in blood for that before. Would you not have?
Well, given the fact they had 9 sacks coming in.
You agree with me?
Yeah, I thought.
Like I said,
I mean, they did better. I mean,
it's easily better than the first 2 weeks, right? I mean, there's any doubt about
compared
that.
to what I thought
But
was going to
again,
happen, I thought
think he was
Mitch Williams and those guys
referring
were going to kill them today.
I think he was referring to in the middle portions after it was 14-0. They couldn't do anything.
And they couldn't run the
They
ball. I mean, look, we wanted Jalen Warren to
get 2.5 quarters.
We wanted Jalen Warren to get the ball. He got the ball, but a lot of times he was kind of doing it on his own.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't a lot of room for him to kind of
Yeah, but overall,
get started.
if you had said the Steelers would give up no sacks or at least one, that I would have taken that absolutely.
Yeah.
We got to take a break here. When we come back, we're going to shift the attention to Pitt, Penn State, and Oregon. All that next, right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. All right, we're back talking about college football. There's a big game coming up. It's Penn State, Oregon. But before I get to that, I have to start with you, Will Graves, about West Virginia, because they got pummeled yesterday. They also had gotten not pummeled, but
everybody
they lost to Ohio. In
we're-
between, they beat Pitt. What does it say about Pitt?
It says it says the WVU is a riflery school, as we're a rifle school. We're not. That's it.
Didn't they win the national championship?
They many times. I would say it's not great. I mean, because they were never. WVU was never in that game, and you could talk about like an emotional letdown after an emotional win. They were without the running back that had 3 touchdowns against Pitt.
Yeah.
I mean, they're beat up everywhere, but man. Like, I literally had multiple texts from people, fellow alums, some of my roommates, that said, "How bad is Pitt?" ? If that happened to WVU yesterday. And I wonder if Pat Narduzzi was watching that and wondering the same thing.
Pitt's going to play Louisville, who didn't get ranked, but they're undefeated. And Braum there has done a really good job resuscitating quarterbacks. This Moss from USC is off to a really good start. So, I mean, there's a chance, again, if your defense plays like it did against West Virginia, that you're going to have to score a lot of points. And it looks like you're going to be without your best player again with this Desmond Reed situation. So Pitt lately, I mean, think about from the midpoint of last year till now, how they've played. They've got 2 wins, and they're against Duquesne and Central Michigan. I mean, it's just the program is really on life support right now, Bob.
And you can't use the transitive property and just say, well, Ohio's better than Pitt or whatever. And
Why? If they played right now, I'd pick Ohio.
And
Ohio
Pitt
gave Ohio State a game.
And Pitt did control the game against West Virginia. Right. They didn't play poorly, I guess you could say. They were in control of the game. They probably outplayed, for what that's worth, West Virginia. And all this would be forgotten. If they win ACC games, it doesn't really matter what they did. Now, maybe they won't. I'm not necessarily predicting that or feeling real confident about that. But
I mean, let's remember, when
they lost a rivalry game. I mean, it happened.
When the prognostications for the season came out,
back.
we talked about how quote easy the ACC schedule was. Well, as Pony can allude to, the ACC might be a little tougher than people think after Syracuse. I mean, you watched what Syracuse put a beat down on Clemson yesterday. This is a pivotal game. I mean, if Pitt wants to have any semblance of a season that is successful, not just to maybe win the games you're supposed to win, but maybe win one you're not. Like this, they might, this is one that they probably, if they want to really get it turned around, because BC comes in the next week, BC's not terrible.
I have a minute and a half. Pony, I want to get and all you guys, your take on Penn State and Oregon. I picked Penn State to win the national championship, so I think they're going to win this game. How do you look at it, and how important is it for Penn State?
Well, we have no idea what kind of team Penn State is. Everything's based off of how they finished last year because of how their schedule started. They haven't played anybody. Okay, Oregon, not to say that they've played, great teams, but Oklahoma State's in a group of, now they got beat by Tulsa, but, but at least they played
name
teams, right. I've got no confidence, right. I don't know what Penn State is, so I can't go into this game and tell you they're going to win, Bob. I can't.
If we think the Steelers are 2-1 are uninspired, Penn State at 3-0 has played. They've won games by blowout, but just watch them. The first half, it's very meh, and Drew Auer is going to be. We don't know. Drew Auer hasn't played like a Heisman Trophy contender or a high first-round pick like he's supposed to be, at least yet this season.
I mean, Oregon is tested. This is a big game for James Franklin. Pomp, I think to your point though, they could lose this game and still be in the mix.
Teams.
But I think if you want to send a message that this is not, this is
different. It's a home game.
This is different. This is the step that we're talking about.
And it's a whiteout game, Bob.
It's a pretty important game for James Franklin.
Yeah, I think he needs it for that very reason. We're going to take a break, come back and talk about the Pirates, who have a week left, but they ended their home schedule. The question is, Ben Cherington, will he still call Pittsburgh home after this year? It's next, right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. All right, the Pirates have ended their home schedule, a week left, and then what should be a very interesting offseason. Real quick, Will, your take on Ben Cherington. Will or won't he be back?
I think he will, for better or for worse. I think he can point to the pitching staff he's built, and let's be honest, there might be labor nuclear war at the end of next season. So why, hire a general manager and then like a year and might have a totally different.
That's all the more reason for them to spend money for 1
I just
year.
think I think he's coming back.
I see no reason why he should. I mean, okay, congratulations. He found Bubba Chandler and, he picked Paul Skeens over Dylan Cruz. I'm not saying those are insignificant things, but they're going to lose between 90 and 95 games in year 6. So I don't want to hear about Connor Griffin and the guys that are in the minor leagues. In year 6, you're supposed to compete. And look, he's got his hands tied to some extent, but to have the kind of lack of development with hitters in their organization is just unacceptable.
I think Bob asked, would you think he will come
No,
back? No, whether you think he should come back, I think, right?
I'm going to say no and no and keep my fingers crossed.
Okay.
I think he will be back. Whether or not he should make a different story. But if they could trade Keller for a bat and bring this pitching staff that comes together, they can be okay next year.
Well, they have to get bats. There's no question about it because they would have won a lot more games had they just averaged 4 runs a game or 3.5 runs a game, whatever it is. Meanwhile, if you're in the market for a new vehicle, we got some news for you. Don't settle for anything less. The #1 Cochran Kia's clearly better car buying experience. You can enjoy exclusive clear-cut pricing where you get their most competitive offer and you get it up front. Take advantage of exceptional lease and finance rates and choose from a lineup of nearly 200 new models they got. And it's right there for you to see. Experience clearly better car buying at #1 Cochran Kia, in-store, online, cochrankia.com.